1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, let's go now.
Statistics you have to be based in context, right? And that's what people don't understand. And I think a lot of times people take things completely out of context and they use their emotions to guide them on their opinions. But, you know, we'll switch over to Cody here. Cody, what do you think? Where do you think that your passion and your desire for Spurs really kind of came from or started?
Well, listen, I mean, we're all Spurs in the end. It's really hard to talk about that when we have such a disappointing week. But when it comes to what you were just talking about now and statistics and whatnot, did you watch the Hotspur this week on We Are Tottenham TV with John and Sim?
No,
John was trying to argue that statistics are useless, and I know that it was a little bit of an overbearing beginning to his argument, but basically his argument was that statistics without context are useless, and he's right. And I think that's where you get a lot of the problems within fan bases, is that they really don't know how to look at the statistics and apply them to the deeper problems that result in the club. So, I don't know. It's just been a really hard week to be a Spurs fan. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, they really do make no difference, right? Because it's like this thing on Lamela, right? You watch Lamela on the pitch. He runs fast. He works hard. He looks like he's getting things done. But when you look at his run stats, right, his average kilometers per match, 1.9 per match. So that's not like, it's not because he's had so many appearances. That's the average per appearance, right? Not because he's been there for 8 years and there's 38 games or things, so you divide by that. No, I'm talking per 90 that he's played, right? Per match he's played, 1.9. Hugo Lloris is 1.7. Everyone else in the club is 3.8. Then you go and you find a heat map, and you look at his heat map from 18-19, and the guy runs sideways this way. That's all he runs.
Yep.
He doesn't run up and down the pitch from box to box. It's left to right, right? Touchline, sideline to sideline.
What did you guys see Thursday from Harry Winks? Honestly, because I didn't see a single fucking dispossession. I didn't see a single forward pass. I didn't see a single tackle. All I saw was that, just what you're talking about, that side to side and that backwards movement, that safe, that attitude that, well, I don't want to be the one to make the mistake, right?
Well, and then too, even when you look at Lamela's defensive stats, his headed clearances, his aerial battles won, his not necessarily tackles, right? But if you look at his attempted tackles to successful tackles, it's shocking. And then the number of yellow cards that he has, it's like 300 over 8 years. I mean, I may be off on that, but I think 300 might be his total amount.
Maybe.
Is it from I don't know, 300, 200 something to 300 is up there, but I mean, the stats for that stuff. Gareth Bale this season has better defensive staffs, more aerial battles won, and that's what shocks people. Like, people look at Lamela and they think, "Wow, he's doing a really good job." So for me, my opinion isn't coming from the fact that I hate Eric Lamela because he has a dash over the E in his name, right? That's not why I don't like Eric Lamela. I don't like Eric Lamela, not for emotional reasons, but because he's had 8 goals, 7 assists, and 30 something red cards in his last 96 appearances at the club, right? And he's supposed to be right, like, if we're talking like Harry Winks, or I don't go on Harry Winks to how many goals he scored. Have you ever heard me say that, David? Harry Winks doesn't score enough goals, or Højbjerg doesn't score enough goals. No, he's a winger or an attacking midfielder. As an attacking midfielder, you should at least be getting 8 goals and 8 assists a season, right? Around 16 goal contributions a year. If you're a good quality attacking player, right? That's all I expect. I expect the same thing for my kid in his club, right?
Yeah.
Over a full year, right? You need to have at least 16 goal involvements. You look at Lamela's big chances created, abysmal. Goals scored, abysmal. But granted, 14, 15, 15, 16, right? People are saying this is his best season he's ever had. No, in 15, 16, he had 9 goals and 5 assists. That's a good season for an attacking midfielder / winger, right? That's a good season. Right? I can get behind a player who does that, right? And, you know, he's just not that way. And Harry Winks' attitude is just horrible. But I've gone on.
Like even Harry Winks, like there was one game there. It was against Fulham, the first time we played them, the 1-1. And people were saying, "Oh, but Harry Winks had a good game." And I was like, "But he didn't." Like, no, he did. I was like, "But he didn't put in any tackles. He's in the centre midfield, and that's where you're supposed to win the ball. That's where you're supposed to turn over the ball most. He didn't put in one tackle. How can you say he's had a good game?" See, like the thing, and this thing's the things with stats. Like, you know, Lamela looks better than, but when you go into the stats, he's not as good. But Winks looks better, but when you go into the stats, he's shit. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. But it all comes down to the thing. It's like you were saying, Will. It's stats, but with context. Like there's the stat being banded around. Oh, but we haven't bet any of the last 8 teams or the top 6 teams in so many games. And I'm like, but over the context of a season, the top 5, 6 teams, you don't usually do the double on them, but we bet most of them first time round. You know what I mean? And then when you lose players to injuries and stuff like that, it's not really telling the full picture. And the thing is, some people get so bogged down in stats nowadays without applying the context and looking at the bigger picture, and they form their opinion off a stat they see. Like one day they're this, the next day they're that, and it's like, you know, when just apply some context to it. Like it's very easy to say, oh, you know, but we went through 4 weeks without winning a game, but we were missing Reguilon. You know, Harry Kane had a period out injured through that period. You know, Toby Alderweireld had a period out with a tight hamstring. You know, there's loads of players that had injuries throughout that period. So, and when we have the shit bags we do that are to come in and replace them, and they're as shit as they are, you know, how do you expect to win games? How do you expect to play the same way? And this is the thing. Like, and another thing that annoys me, under Pochettino, right? It was, oh, it's the players, it's the players, it's the players. We need to back them, we need to back them, we need to back them. But now it's Mourinho. It's like, no, it's Mourinho, it's Mourinho. No, it's not the players. The players are good enough. And it's like, well, all season you'd be saying they're not good enough, but now all of a sudden they are. I just don't understand it. Like, you know, be fair. And see, this is going to be the problem as well, because ultimately, look, I do think the majority of the fan base will be heard. I do think it could end up happening. And look, I'm going to throw my same support behind the next manager. But is it of best interest when you're not really? Because look, it's very easy to say Josie out, and then shut down anyone that has Josie in and try and challenge them on this and that, just so you can look right. But like when you get into it and you talk about the broader issues, you kind of look at it a different way, and you're like, but is it the best thing? And that's what we need to be doing. Stop with the immediate stuff and the knee-jerk reactions and these statements, like just throwing out these statements without any context or proof behind it. You know what I mean? Deal in facts. Deal with what's out there, what's in front of you. Deal with what's in the news. Like this whole narrative of the players love Poch when he first came in. Bullshit. There was a statement put out. The players didn't want to do his training methods. What happened? They stuck with Poch, and they got rid of 12, 13 players that season. Now, we're at the same point with Mourinho. And this is my point. Okay, so you get Mourinho, you bring in another manager. But then when does it stop? Do you just keep going? Do you just keep going, keep bringing in manager or manager? Or do at one stage you stop and say, no, we're backing this manager. You get rid of this manager. There's going to be uproar. Change the playing squad. But why would you do it with an Nagelsmann who doesn't have the history behind him and deserve that? Why wouldn't you do it with Mourinho who has the history behind him? And if anyone, like, you know, for me, I think the most safest pair of hands to be in is an experienced pair of hands. Not some new guy on the job, because he is going to make mistakes. And is someone like Nagelsmann capable to come in with his lack of experience? Like, you know, to come in and steer a ship like Tottenham. This is the thing. People don't want to talk about any of this.
Yeah, no, and I don't even know. For me, I don't even care if he's experienced or not experienced. I just think that it's a waste of money and a waste of time when he's not going to get any different result. Right?
Yep.
Well, so when maybe we win the next 3, right? We go to if say we're to sack Jose today, Nagelsmann comes in tomorrow morning for the match, or today for the match, and they beat Villa, they beat Newcastle, right, and then they lose to United, and then they lose the rest of the season. Well, what's the difference if we lose tomorrow under Jose, beat Newcastle, beat Man United, and then lose the rest of the game? I mean, there's no difference, right? Unless you
watch that, just quickly while you're speaking to Newcastle before it slips mind. You watch, right? We'll probably beat Villa tomorrow. We have Newcastle coming up. Now, Newcastle are a bogey team. I'm not confident going into that game because they always kind of do a number on us. But if we do lose that or don't beat them, you watch the fan base say this, that, and the other, and not talk about the 5-0 drubbing that Mourinho got up at Newcastle last game of the season there one season. They won't talk about that. They won't mention any of that. But you watch, and this is the team. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so. For me, it's so emotional. Like I could see the turn. I mean, I was there. I was on the stream with you and Marcelo when things turned. Right, it was from here to 180, and yeah, I just think that people get too emotionally. Which it's hard not to get emotional, especially when you care about the club as much as everybody does. But for me, I can get angry and I can get mad. But for me too, I'm not a big fan of my son's manager or my son's coach. He's not. He may be watching right now. I don't know. I'm not a fan. But for me, I don't think the team's problems. Yeah, right. I don't think that the team's issues though are based on the coach, because when all is said and done, it's the kids on the field who are responsible for the actions that they take. I mean, the coach can only do so many drills with them, during the week. He can set them up before the game and say, this is how we're going to run. This is the formation we're going to do. You're playing here. You're playing there. I want you to play in between the lines. I want you to make runs into the half spaces. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. But once that whistle blows, all he can do is yell from the sidelines. I can tell you right now, my son's told me a million times, Dad, I can never hear words you say, right? And I'm back there hollering and hollering and hollering, right? So how much do they hear the coach when he's hollering, right? I mean, I've heard the coach had to holler my son's name out 4 or 5 times before he can get him to look at him, right? Like, I mean, you just don't hear it. And then you got halftime, and he's got 10 minutes with him at halftime, and that's it. What happens on the pitch is down to the kids on the field and the decisions that they make and how they keep their heads. And my son's team is just like Tottenham right now. We can go out and beat the number one team on the table. We can go out and beat them 3-0. And then we can go draw 1-1 or lose 1-0 to the person at the bottom of the table the very next week. Like, I mean, we never know what team's going to show up on the weekend, right? Like, we have no idea. It is so frustrating to have my son's team and Tottenham performing the exact same way week in and week out. Yeah. Is drama from every angle, and it's a tough spot to be in. But yeah, I just don't understand why.
It's at times like this where you have to be level-headed. Like, I've always been a big advocate of, say if you're ever in trouble, the worst thing you can ever do is panic, because by the time you finish reaching that panic stage, level head prevails. But, by then the damage is already done. But where if you applied that in the situation in the first place, the damage wouldn't be done because you're level-headed and you can deal with it and you can get through it. So I always try to apply the same context to anything I do in life, especially with this situation right now with Mourinho.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't understand how people can blame Jose Mourinho. I just don't see it. Thanks for watching this THFC rant short. If you want to watch the full-length version of this stream, make sure to find it in our streaming playlist. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can find us every single time that we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Stay strong, stay Spurs, and we'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go now.